So hey, welcome back to the Kush Vibes CBD and Wellness podcast. We're glad to have you back. Today we're going to talk about a number of things. Before we get into it, guys, make sure to like, share, and subscribe this podcast so we can spread as much education as possible. Today we're going to talk about how to start a CBD business. People come in the store all the time and ask me this question. They're like, "How did you get started? What made you start in the wake of a pandemic? Um, just what was going through your mind? How did you get everything together to even get it into a store?" So I've always been like, you know what? We really need to go into this and explain it to people because cannabis is such a huge industry. It's going to touch so many different walks of life that it's room for everybody to jump in and really benefit from this new era in this new wake. So we're going to kind of fall into it. The first thing I would want to tell someone is to make sure that you're ready to become dedicated to the process. And when I say that, guys, like when I first started, I cut TV, I cut out some social events. I really sat down and talked to my wife and kind of said, hey, this is what I want to get into, and I'm going into it head first. So it was really a lot of mental preparation before I jumped in because that's you have to have the mental capacity to say, I'm going to take this on along with work, along with monitoring my relationship with my partner, along with developing and maintaining my relationship with my children. So that's a really big thing to kind of take on, and you want to make sure that you're prepared for it. So that was one thing that I kind of sat down with myself and had that conversation like, hey, I'm ready to make the sacrifices now so I can live how I want to live later. And I think this industry is going to do that for me. So that's the first thing I really tell people. The second thing is building the vision, kind of coming out of the dream, out of the goal, and going into plans and saying, hey, this is the plan that's going to eventually come and come to pass. So sometimes when people explain business ideas to me, they have no dates. And that's how I know it's a dream and not a plan or a phase or a destination yet. And that's very important. So when you are in that beginning stage, you want to start thinking about names, how you're going to structure the business. Is it going to be an LLC or a C Corp or an S Corp? And those are the things you want to start researching how those can become beneficial to you throughout your business venture. The next thing is really demographic. Demographic is super important. And I tell people this like um, the demographic is like 50% of the success, honestly. Where you are, how you're placed, who you're engaging, customer relationships all come from demographic. When I first started, I was like, okay, it's Rustin. They're going to send me to jail. But I really had to take into account my demographic and who I'm serving. How can I make these customer interactions the best that they've ever had? Because I am going up against the internet to where you can see something, order it, and have it right at your doorstep. So the first thing I kind of came to realization is that I am providing a experience. Some people have never been in the same room with cannabis in so many different variations. So that was the first thing, was display it where they can see it, touch it, smell it, have an interaction with it, get information about it, get more understanding about it. And that's the piece that I understood that I was selling along with products. So my first mindset was, I know this area is very taboo, so I'm going to flood them with information to the point where they can understand it and take it in to the point where they can move around and explain the product that I carry almost as good as I could. So that's one thing that you have to take into effect is where I am and who I'm servicing. A lot of my demographic is huge. I mean, my demographic is like completely huge. It's from college students up to 80-year-old people. So I make sure that I have different things that service those different sectors of my customer base. So for my younger kids, I got like a lot of flower tinctures, Delta 8 products, things that they're into. And then for our older audience and our older customer base, we have a lot of like back cream, skin rejuvenation cream, different things of that nature. So it's just very important to know your customer base. And I always tell people this, take the time out. Like, I'm not gonna lie, guys, I am a big time smoker. I love anything and everything about cannabis. I could watch it like all day. Like, my wife gets so tired of my like cannabis documentaries. It is crazy. So that's one thing, is that I make sure to spend time and get understanding of the cannabis culture and the camaraderie, and the interaction and what people get from it. And I slightly would take mental notes when I would go places and interact with people. Yes, it was a social event. Yes, it was fun, but cannabis brings people together in a unique way that other products don't. So I make sure to understand that, so that I can incorporate that into my customer experience. So a lot of the times customers want to know, what do you like? And I have to make sure that I sample and try everything in this store, so that I can give that kind of, I can I can kind of move them to the direction they're trying to go to. And that's a huge thing, is that you want people to say, hey, I'm going out tonight. Okay, bet we're gonna get you a sativa. You'll be up all night, but you'll have a great time. And that way we can know what to give them to kind of enhance their experience, in and outside of the store. So that's very important. Another thing, guys, is taking time. I think we took about, my wife did a little bit of research into the law, but she had more retail managerial experience, so that's her field. Me being a criminal justice major, the first thing I dived into is the law, and cannabis is so new, and there's so many small changes that you want to make sure that you're up on the law before you do anything. Um, that is a major thing, to print this stuff out, have it on hand, read it before you go to bed, read it when you wake up, make it a part of your daily routine to know these things, because this is what the structure of your business will be upon. And this is the guidelines that's going to keep your doors open. So it's very important to make sure that you know the rules, regulations for your parish, your state, federal laws, new bills coming out, the whole nine. City ordinances are very important, because they could pass a city ordinance that says no smokable hemp products, and they may have a separate idea of what smokable it is. So you really need to know that, and you really need to be familiar with it. So when you come in contact with it, you kind of know how to make decisions and move around and do things. One thing that I had to write down, because it is super huge, is get a mentor. I always tell people, when you have a mentor, you skip areas where a newbie would hit their head, and it kind of gives you a roadmap to where you want to go. One person that was very instrumental, outside of my wife, was Jennifer Bozer from Canabama, and sending her a shout out to Jennifer. But Jennifer made my idea real, because at first it was just like, hey, I want to do this. How do I get it from my head to actual physical location? And Jennifer gave me, excuse my language, the kick in the ass to get out and do it. And she was like, hey, you know what? Build the idea. Here's how I did it. And it came to fruition, and it is possible. And sometimes having somebody show you that it's possible through their actions and their words is very beneficial. Like, it is so crazy, because it gives you the motivation, and it gives you the push that you need to get it from your head onto paper into reality. And I mean, that is like one of the biggest things that you can really know about, and really experience, is that having somebody to kind of say, hey, don't do it this way, do it this way, and kind of not do the plan for you, but just help you tailor it along the way. So that's very beneficial. The other thing is, once you get it, the concept in your mind, you got the legal idea down, you have a mentor pushing behind you, you got a great spot, great location, you know the customer base, you've done some research on the people that live in this area. After that, it's time to really put it on paper. A lot of people have great ideas, and it sounds really great to you in your head. But when you get to talking to investors, potential partners, you may look crazy. So a lot of the times, like, I'm talking to people and I look straight crazy. Like, I had got, like, seriously, I think I got like 100 no's. People told me, like, man, this is a terrible idea. You're in the heart of the South. You're black. Don't do it. And that was the thing that was like, you know what? When other people are afraid, And when nobody else is doing it in the market, that's the time to do it. You never want to jump on something at the peak. You really want to get on it at the rise. And cannabis is at a huge rise. It is nowhere near the peak yet. So that's one thing that I saw that I was like, hey, I need to take advantage of this. But once I put it on paper and I had plans and dates and times and accomplishments, that's when other people took my idea as serious as I did. That's when my wife was like, okay, he's serious. He's not going to let this one go. Because, guys, I have been creating ideas and businesses since I was a child. Like, I was the first kid in the neighborhood with a snow service, a lawn service, a leaf service. I mean, the whole nine. Like, I was valet parking cars before I was even, like, had a driver's license. So, like, for me to come up with so many ideas, I was like, hey, I have to come correct. I have to have my ducks in a row so it doesn't look like one of my past previous ventures. And that's not a bad thing if it does, but you also want to make sure that it's ready. So when somebody, an investor and a partner does come in, they don't have to put things together. People want an idea where they can sit their money there and feel the how to put it. They can see their money coming back. They can see the vision down the line. It's not choppy. It's in a good correlation to where I can say, hey, I see growth in this product. Another thing is when somebody invests in you, not even when somebody else does invest in you, when you invest in you, you have to make sure you know the product. So like on the podcast, I'm making sure these are just some of the books I'm reading, like Cannabis and CBD Science for Dogs. Another one we're reading is just what you need to know about CBD. So these books are important because they help me grow and they help me learn and understand things that are previous knowledge of CBD and also new knowledge. And I can kind of base these things off of each other and come up with new ideas and new concepts to carry in my store. And it also gives me a better understanding because one demographic that I have specifically that is growing in my store is actual pet owners. So I need to know how CBD affects dogs, cats, lizards, the whole nine, because you want to be a vast knowledge base for your customers. You want to be able to explain and take them through it and help them see the vision and understanding because they're using this on their family members, their pets. They're using this to people that are very dear to their heart. And you want them to kind of be able to use it as a tool to kind of help grow their health Rolodex or their knowledge base. So it's very important to know your product. A lot of people, when they're ready to invest in your product, they're really not investing in your company or your product. They're investing in you and how you work and how you move. And the best thing to do with CBD and cannabis being I don't want to say it's being newly introduced because we're all familiar with it, especially me. I mean, years of brand new like interactions with cannabis, but I have to introduce others in a new way, and I have to make sure that they have full understanding and knowledge of what they're using and how it's beneficial for their health. Because I always tell people, my billboards are my customers. My advertisement is my customers. When you can run into one of them and they're explaining things and taking you through the endocannabinoid system and CB1 receptors and CB2 receptors, that's how I promote my business through my customers becoming so knowledgeable through every visit. You understand? So that's one thing to really make sure is that your knowledge base is vast and that you never say, hey, I know enough. Hey, I know enough to make the sale, because you're going to run into so many different situations. Like this industry is so new, anything can happen. So you have to make sure that you stay prepared and you have a great understanding of that concept. Another thing is before we even got to the building, I made sure that I knew my vendors. And I tell people this is a huge thing. Always make sure that you have a great relationship with your vendors. So a lot of times vendors will call me and say, hey, Ray, I got a product I think you would love based off of how you order, based off our conversations, just based off of my interaction and me knowing you. I think you should put this product in your store. And it makes a big difference because that helps me review, sample, and kind of put new things in my store all the time. Like customers always come in and they're like, man, you always got something new. Because I have such a great relationship with my vendors, we can kind of siphon through, and I give them a chance to get to know me and get to know the characteristics, or how to put it, get to know my store's character. Like my store has its own character and personality. So I make sure I relay that to my vendors. Hey, this is what I like. This is what I'm doing. This is where I am attempting to go with the products. And they understand that. So we can kind of sift around a lot of the riffraff, and they can kind of, I hate to say that, but I can get through the junk really fast by them just saying, hey, I know Ray, he'll love this product. Because a lot of times my personal thing with that is I want to make it to where it's a trust between me, my customers, and my vendors. And a lot of people will say, hey, if Ray trusts them, I trust them. So I hold that dear to my heart, and I want people to be able to trust these products. So the first thing I do is I get to know the vendor. I know their company. I want to know what they're about. And I want to know where are they trying to go and how can we work together to get a mutual benefit off of these products. And when I say us, I mean me, my customer, and the vendor. How can we all mutually benefit and really get to a place where everybody's happy? That is the number one goal, because happy customers bring in other customers, and then you create that cyclone, and it just keeps growing and snowballing. So that is a very big thing to me. I never just jump in bed with any vendor. I'm always like, hey, tell me about yourself. Are you the grower? That's a number one question for me. If I'm getting flour from somebody, it's like, are you the grower? What type of grower are you? Do you smoke? I know that's how to put it, you don't want to judge off of that, but I like to interact with other people that partake in the plant in all forms, because sometimes I have a customer comes in and says, hey, Ray, what are you using? Or what are you indulging off of? So it's some great things. And if you don't use it, how can you relay that experience to a third party? And that's very important. That's just like, for one thing, giving a shout out to, I'm sorry, I just thought about it, 5 Leaf Laboratories. They make a great CBD cream. They make a sports cream and also like a thicker cream for like skin rejuvenation. So I actually use that cream a lot of times during the summertime. I'll do a lot of running. Like I might do 7 miles or 14 miles in a week. And I'm old, so my joints, I have to use that CBD cream on my joints. And I mean, it is awesome. It's like, it comes in 500 milligram and also 1,000 milligrams of CBD. And it is awesome on my joints. If you're ever in the area and you're looking for something for joints, that's definitely one to come in and look for. But just through me using that product and having a personal experience, I can relay it to so many different people and give a personal observation of how that impacted my life and how that helps. And that's one thing that my customers love. It's like, hey, man, I know I can always come to you for the truth. And that's a double-edged sword, because if you get a product and it's not good, I am not going to lie just to make the sale. You got to be honest. Hey, we rolled the dice on this one and it is trash. Don't get it, or get it at your own risk. And sometimes I tell people, this is my personal opinion, but you can try it for yourself. And a lot of times that goes either way. Somebody may come back and agree, or you actually win over your customer more because they're like, hey, this guy is honest. He's not here for the dollar. And that makes a lot of sense. So I always tell people, make sure to know your vendors. Make sure you know the product, know their level of integrity, because that just gives you more motivation and just makes you get behind your products more than if you would just open the box or just buy it online, open the box and just roll with it. That won't work. And I tell a lot of people that if you're not using a product in your daily life, how can you get behind it to help somebody else use it in their daily life? It just won't make sense. So I think I've given you guys a lot. I'm long-winded and I talk too much. My wife says this all the time. So I just want to thank you guys again. Well, one more thing, and I just thought about it. One more thing is just start the damn business. Like A lot of times we sit on ideas and we try to wait to the perfect time, and it is no perfect time. It will not come out perfect. It is going to be like bumps and knocks along the road. Things are going to fall apart and go to shit. But that's a part of business, is learning how to put things back together even before they break down. So it's never going to be a perfect time. It's never going to work out how you thought it was. You're really just rolling the dice on how tenacious you are about completing this idea. And that's really the only thing that needs to be perfect, is your self-determination and how bad you want it. That's the really thing that you need, in your ability to manifest ideas into reality. And that's the major thing that you have to be gung-ho about, and you cannot be willing to negotiate about it coming to fruition. So start the idea, get out, put it together, make some mistakes, fail, and bounce back. And that's the best thing you can do. But guys, this is Ray from Kush Vibez, CBD and Wellness. I thank y'all for joining my podcast. Make sure to stop in on Flower Fridays. And once again, like, share, and subscribe. And we'll see you next time. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, it's the pain clinic. You missed your appointment for back pain. Should we reschedule?
No need to. I went to Kush Vibez, and I'm doing great.
Your appointment for joint pain. Can we reschedule?
No thanks. I found Kush Vibez.
Your appointment for inflammation. Would you like to reschedule?
No, thank you. I found a place called...
Let me guess. Kush Vibez?
That's it. Yeah, great place.
That's what I keep hearing.
Kush Vibez in Ruston.